Manchester United draw 1-1 with Manchester City, but then lose on penalties. What are your thoughts on that game then? Ultimately, I don't think many people expected Manchester United to get a result. We've lost to Man City on penalties in the Community Shield, and I think it's a real mixed bag. And I think there are concerns as much as there are positives. There were moments in the game where we played quite well. There were moments in the game where we were very predictable, hitting them long balls, the deep defensive line. You've got all the new players that are going to come in, like De Ligt and Mazraoui. But then you've got the Xerxes thing, which is just baffling. And I await clarity from Ten Hag on this, because I've got to just say straight away, what is going on when Xerxes started training with Man United 2 weeks ago? Bruno Fernandes started on Monday. Bruno plays 90 minutes. Xerxes plays none, and we don't have a striker. Is Xerxes injured? Because I'm not buying bollocks like, oh, we can't play Xerxes at the moment because he's got to get up to speed with our system. We haven't got a system. We haven't got a system. We're playing park the bus counter-attacking football with a deep line because we've got slow defenders. So the Xerxes thing is baffling, because that's our last pre-season game and you've decided not to use him. So have you bought a dud? Don't you think he's good enough? Has he got an injury? I would love to know the answer to that, because to some people it would be rather... I don't understand why some people would go, it's not that deep. I think it's really that deep. We've spent £40 million on a striker that we need. Our main striker is injured and you don't use him at all. You know, weird. Maybe we'll come back to that. But positives, look, for me, Garnacho, incredible goal. Amad in the first half was incredible as well when we got him the ball. I think in Amad and Garnacho, we've got two players. Do I dare say this? Yes, I do. There was a time a few years ago when we had Martial and Rashford, and I thought we had two superstars that would, light up United for years. It didn't quite work out. I think with Amad and Garnacho, we've got another chance. They are special players who, when they get the ball, they make things happen. I think when I look at the game in general, which I will in a minute, but we're also looking at the season ahead now. To not get beat by Man City 3 or 4-0 is a positive. To have periods of the game where we should have won it, and we should have won it. We were 1-0 up. I don't blame Pellistri on the goal. We've conceded plenty of goals this over the last few years, from the cross to the back post, where it's Wan-Bissaka, Dalot or Shaw. Pellistri is a winger. You can't have a pop at him about that. So I think that Man City getting the equaliser was disappointing, but we should have won that game. We had it won. Rashford missed two good chances. Bruno's goal was offside. McTominay could have scored from that corner. We had the better opportunities. We didn't win the game. In the grand scheme of things, we've not lost the FA Cup and we've not lost the Champions League. It's the Community Shield. I don't personally acknowledge it as a trophy. We've lost on penalties. We can walk away from that with our heads held high to a certain extent. We did okay. We did okay. It's what happens against Fulham on Friday that really matters. But I think for every positive, there might be a negative. I'm very interested to get your comments on this. We'll go through player ratings in a moment, although I think they are somewhat a waste of time because there were so many substitutions. It wasn't, maybe we'll leave that for Fulham and just talk about the players that played well and the players that didn't, because we'll be talking about 20 players and it's Saturday night and I want to do an 8 o'clock show and there's a fan forum. But I think nothing matters if we don't beat Fulham on Friday. That's the real game that we're moving towards. And I think that, look, De Ligt, Mazraoui coming in, best of luck for Wan-Bissaka. We'll talk about all of that at 8 o'clock on the 8 o'clock show. But immediately we're talking about that game there. Really, really good to see people like Mainu, Dalot, Bruno, Martinez all come through that game, all back. They're really positive moves for us. And they'll be better for the minutes that they've played. Of course, Martinez and Bruno and Dalot played 90 minutes after 1 week of training. So that's a real, real big positive. Mainu got minutes in his legs as well. Really, really positive about that. Negatives, I do worry about, this is such a big season. And I said it in the watch along, and I think it deserves to, persevere in the match reaction as well, because I know people watch the watch along and probably don't go back, but the match reaction, people do watch it and might watch it and, more, I don't know. But my point is, I wanted Ten Hag to stay because I wanted year 3. And if it's not a free hit, like, I said this about Mourinho and I said it about Ollie. I fought for Mourinho and Ollie to stay, and it got to a point where it was obvious it wasn't going to work. This can go one of two ways for Ten Hag. It's either, this is the solidification season where it moves on, or it's the season where it's goodbye. And as much as there are positives, there are also hints of problems. I mean, the Xerxes thing is weird. We might get some clarity on that. I just hope it's not injury. The favouritism thing is weird. I've got to say, if he doesn't start Garnacho and Amad as our wingers next week, it's incredible. Amad has been the standout player throughout the entirety of pre-season. He's fit, he's focused, and he's performing well. Garnacho's just come off the bench and was magnificent. So there's no decision to make against Fulham. You put Garnacho on the left and you put Amad on the right. Now, the season is starting on Friday, and we already know that won't happen. That's not going to happen. I'm going to tell you now, it will not happen. It will be Rashford on the left and Garnacho on the right and Amad on the bench. That, you need to get your head around it. He ain't going to drop Rashford. And then when he doesn't drop Rashford, who, look, I think some of the pile-on in the live chat and on Twitter was too far. Rashford didn't play worse than Maguire or Mount, in my opinion. But he didn't play anywhere near as well as Amad and Garnacho. So I'm not here saying, Rashford was shit, let's get rid of him. But what I am saying is Amad and Garnacho are levels ahead of him at the moment. So Ten Hag's issue is going to be, and I will jump on that train this year, it's not about Ten Hag out, it's not about Ten Hag in, it's about making the right decisions. And some people might take a breath about that, but I think we're all Ten Hag inners are like this. It's like, we fought to keep you, show us why we did it. Because if you're going to go down the favouritism route, I don't want any part in that. I don't. I don't want to see the long diagonal balls and the shots from 40 yards. And I do not want to see you picking players on reputation anymore. I think there was hints of it last year. And that's why there was, why is Amad playing? Why is Amad not playing? If he doesn't start Amad and Garnacho next week, there's something very wrong, because they are the form wingers at the moment. So very interested to see how that works out, because if he does start Rashford and he does bench Garnacho or Amad, it's pure favouritism. It's not based on form, and we saw that today. Amad and Garnacho for me were 7.5 out of 10, and Rashford was a 6. So it's as simple as that. On form, you've got to go with those two players, and I think that fits in with a lot of other things as well that are going to go on, that he's got to make changes to the way this team plays. And if he doesn't, then he will face the criticism, because there's a lot of people that want to get at him. So I don't want to see the favouritism at all. What else? Look, we moved the ball quite well at times. You know what? If I could pick one player from that game that sort of symbolised the performance, it's probably Casemiro. At times, there was really good tackles. There was really good passes. And then at other times, there was total and utter mistiming and lack of care on the ball. He'd misplace a pass at a crucial time, or he'd mistime a tackle. You can put up with that in pre-season. But I think that, Casemiro, I would give a 6.5 as a player rating score. And I think he was quite symbolic of United. There were really good moments, and then there were really bad moments. And, what we need to see over the next week ahead of Fulham is that we go up and not drop down, because this season we've got to be better. So, but look, there's some people in the chat who say that Casemiro is really good. Look, he's not got the legs. I was like you a year ago. I wouldn't have it. I was like, bollocks. No, yeah, he's not lost his legs. He's lost his legs. He has. We need somebody way more mobile in the centre of the pitch. He just doesn't move around quick enough, and that will cost us. Now, whether you can have that this season, I just don't think so. Somebody in the chat just said, what about the penalties? Mate, come on. I mean, Johnny Evans' penalty, I don't really care. He's a centre-back. Jadon Sancho's penalty was well saved. We should have won that game in normal time. I mean, I genuinely am not that disappointed. I'm not, really. I think I predicted that Man City would win 3-1. I actually thought that, apart from the first half an hour, we did really well. I don't really think it matters. I mean, at the end of the day, would you rather we'd won the Community Shield and draw against Fulham, or would you rather we lose the Community Shield on penalties and beat Fulham? I want to beat Fulham. Fulham on Friday is way more important than this. So I've already moved on. The big positives for me today were Garnacho being back. And I tell you what about Garnacho as well. I just want to talk about Garnacho because his goal was so good. We see it with Amad, and we've been deprived of Garnacho over the summer because he's been in the Copa America and he wasn't part of the pre-season tour in the States. The big thing that stands out with me with Amad is his dedication to the cause, his dedication to his own game, and his focus and his consistency. I see Amad, and he works really, really hard. He's quicker than he looks, but when he gets the ball, he's so tidy. He knows when he wants to pass, he knows when he wants to shoot, and he glides past people. And you know, like he had that shot. We weren't in the game at all. And then suddenly Amad snakes his way into the box, has a shot. And it's the first time we've been in the penalty box. And it's the 27th minute. Soon after that, he's back in again. Good pass by Casemiro. He cuts it back to Mount. And people were like, oh, we should have scored. But I thought, you know what? The fact that he's trying to pass that is amazing. If I was Ten Hag, I'd take him aside. In fact, I wouldn't take him aside. I'd say it in front of the dressing room. I'd say, my favourite bit of that game, apart from Garnacho's goal, was that bit of play where Amad tried to get it to Mount. That was amazing. You know why it was amazing? Because he didn't shoot. He played the right creative pass, and that was in his head to do it. You know, that to me is such a rarity to see. So I think with Amad, you know, it's such a breath of fresh air how confident he is on the ball. And when he gets the ball, something happens. He goes off. Hold on a minute. Let's put the handbrake on. Why did he go off in the 59th minute? He's had a whole pre-season. He can easily play 90 minutes. Bruno plays 90 minutes. Delo plays 90 minutes. They've only trained a week. Amad's been training for 6 weeks. Gets taken off after 59 minutes. What was that all about? Why did that happen? I don't know. Weird. Anyway, he comes off. Garnacho comes on. And then Garnacho continues what Amad does. And to me, Garnacho looks taller. He looks leaner and he looks stronger. And this is the thing about Garnacho. He's 19. People don't realise at 22, he's going to look very different physically as well. He comes on, looked up. As Stephen Willock says, Garnacho picked up where he left off, and so has Rashford. You might be right about that. But yeah, again, Garnacho's a player that when he gets on the ball, you feel something's going to happen. And I think that if I was Marcus Rashford tonight or Anthony tonight, I'd be looking at Amad and Garnacho. And as incredible as it is, because they're both younger, I'd be studying their games and going, I need to make things happen when I get on the ball, because I can't just be running in behind for one-on-ones. You know, that's not going to be enough. I think Casemiro looked really good higher up the pitch. He may not have the legs as a 6, but could back up Mainu when we have a DM. But can you have a 350 grand a week player on the bench, mate? Anana had me physically cringing in the shootout. This isn't a video game. He needs to understand the shirt he's wearing, says HW. What if Ineos is saying that Rashford must start, says Sebastian? Then Ineos will fail. You can't do that. That's not how you run a football club. They're meant to be about elite consistency and mentality. We can't keep doing that. We did that with Jose. You can't sell him. You've got to play him. No, that's not how it's going to work. Love to see Amad and Garnacho start games together. Dynamic and creative, says Bernard. They have to start games. Zutang says, yes, Mark. Eric Ten Hag favourites isn't good enough. His system is awful. We have no style. Ten Hag out. The best game of the best part of the game was the guys doing transfers for United shaking their head in disgust in the first, says Kevin. Garnacho off the bench, amazing. Sancho off the bench, still disappointing, says Martin. I think Sancho will be doing his best to try and leave in the next few weeks. I mean, I'm not here to talk about Sancho, but you know, you look at that, Rashford, Amad and Garnacho are ahead of you. Bruno and Mount are ahead of you. He's got no way to play first team football unless he leaves. I think Sancho will be pushing for a move. Ten Hag taking Amad off and keeping Rashford on made me sick, says Dylan. Hi Mark, again, Ten Hag leaves us all wondering, says Danny. Ten Hag playing favourites is sickening, says Nikhil. Start Amad and Garnacho, please bench Rashford. Dustin says, do you think we didn't play Xerxes because Rasmus is hurt and the fear of starting the season with no out-and-out striker? That doesn't logically make sense to me, Dustin. The best team lost, but worrying signs in mentality once again for Rashford. I think Anana saves a penalty, but the mind games needs to stop. More focus, says Mr. Sedu. Eric Ten Hag choice is a criminal. Still favouritism, says AMT. I'm tired of, oh well, good performance. Will people keep up that optimum when we again bottle leads in the dying minutes, says Luke. It's clear as the day Maguire needs to go, says CSL. I think that I want to talk about this at 8 o'clock about De Ligt and Mazraoui. Is that now going to make certain players realise, Yoro, De Ligt, Martinez, I'm not going to play many games? Akash says, this channel targets Casemiro and not how poor Rashford and later talk media is English bias. Poll for Rashford to be sold. Yeah, I've just spent like 5 minutes talking about Rashford and Casemiro, not really much. Have officially run out of patience with Rashford, says Nishank. Our football don't make sense. I missed the squat soccer under the gaffer proper wing play. And now, heaven's name, do you drop a striker and play nonsense with a false nine? Rashford is just not a good player, says Lee Cape Town. Thing about Rashford is, though, in his defence, he should have had 2 goals. And if he had 2 goals, you'd all be saying he was brilliant. Fine margins, isn't it? I mean, he did miss. Jesus Christ, if I speak. Played well, though, says Jacob. He's not happy with Sancho. I'm tired of saying it's a friendly. I'm actually mad that we lost. Also, people stop saying we won before the final whistle, says Leon. I do not blame Sancho at all. It wasn't a bad penalty, but my God, Evans, you've got to hit the target, says JHP. Annoying, shushy-faced list for Mark, Man City, Foden, Bernardo Silva and Salvino. Love it, Mark, says Mide. Hi, Mark. In my opinion, we played better. Thank what I expected, but some questions need to be addressed, like the defence. And why is Rashford still pushed to play over some players like Amad and giving a chance to Xerxes? The blame for this loss has to go on Rashford. He had 2 sisters to put the game to bed and missed both, says Varun. Sean and Neil, welcome to the members club. If we're not going to play Xerxes, we need another striker like Tony, says Casey. Seb predicted a draw and penalty, says Kipper. Yes, he did. And I'm sick and tired of this manager. If we play Amad, Xerxes and Garnacho from the start, we win 3-0. Mount and Rashford out, says Zutang. I'm lost that was a nice game to see, says Daniel. Lucas saying United missed Wan-Bissaka. He's a prat. He's an absolute prat. He wouldn't know a football if it smacked him in the face. He doesn't strike me as anybody that's got a clue about football. We don't miss Wan-Bissaka, Samuel, because Wan-Bissaka plays for West Ham because he's been sold for the right reason, because we want to be a more attacking team. And Wan-Bissaka got caught under the ball on back post crosses more times than I've had hot dinners. So if he's trying to say we conceded because we didn't have Wan-Bissaka, we all know, because we know football, that as good as Wan-Bissaka is defensively, he was always getting caught out on the back post. So there is no guarantee that that wouldn't still be a goal, because we always have been caught out on the back post. So I disagree. I disagree on that one. I think Ten Hag prefers Garnacho on the right and thinks he's better there. It's been so long since we've seen him on the left, no matter how rash he plays. Ravel, it cannot be Garnacho and Amad fighting for the right wing because they're too good. On the left wing, we're shite. So you've got to move one of your good wingers to the left. You can't just say, you two are so good, but you're fighting for the right wing. And on the left wing, doesn't matter how well you play, you're going to pick. You can't do that. That's not the way to do it. You just can't do that. Rashford can't shoot and Sancho purposely missed, says Quinn. Oh, come on. That's bollocks. Come on. I kept laughing about how the commentary kept saying how United should sign Tony. English bias again, says Simon. I think we've been playing much better possession compared to last season. Master Obi, I think the way I look at it is if we can just... if we can change the defensive line, we played a really deep line tonight. If we can change the defensive line, then things will get better. How can people want Ten Hag out when he's not even able to play the way he wants to, says Trey. I think that's the only criticism I have, is that, you know, the favouritism cannot be a thing this season. It can't be. He's got to start Garnacho. He's got to start Amad. How he figures that out is his job. That's what he gets paid to do. But I cannot, and we cannot see the situation where those two players aren't playing, because Garnacho looks on it, and also Amad's been our best player in pre-season. So those two players have got to play against Fulham. The most important thing in football is form. And when we come out of that situation and start playing proper games like we do against Fulham, you can't pick people on hope and reputation. You've got to pick them on form. And we've got two wingers who head and shoulders stand out at the moment as our best creatives. And they're Amad and they're Garnacho. They've both got to play. Now, if you want to play Rashford as a false nine, that's fine. But you've got to start Garnacho. You've got to start Amad. It's as simple as that. Simple as that. Now, I'm going to quickly just go through my player ratings here, because I've just realised I've got a fan forum, and I haven't got time to do. I wasn't going to do player ratings, but some people have said, can you at least just do yours? For me, Onana would be a 6. I didn't really see anything amazing from him, but I wouldn't be marking him down. Delo, good bits, bad bits. First pre-season game, 6 for me. Harry Maguire, I don't think he did anything wrong. I just think I don't like diagonal long balls. I don't like defending on the edge of the box, 6. Johnny Evans, again, I thought played, as well as I would expect Johnny Evans to play. He's got to be 4th or 5th choice centre-back, and that's why he was playing today, so I'd give him a 6. Martinez, look, it didn't look comfortable at left-back, but as soon as he played centre-back, looked a lot better. I'd give him a 6. Casemiro, 6.5 for me. There was bad bits, there was good bits, and it sort of reflected Man United's general performance. What I would say about Casemiro is 350k a week, he's got to be our holding midfielder for this season. But then he can't be our holding midfielder for this season because I just don't think he's consistent or quick enough anymore. Mainu, just nice to see him back, 6. Amad, I think when we got the ball to him, he was our best player in the first half. I'd give him a 7. Mason Mount, really off the pace. Felt a bit bad for Mount, actually, because it's a bit like when Sancho played up front last week. That's not his position. I mean, what is Mason Mount's position? But yeah, I'd probably give him a 5.5. Rashford, yeah, I mean, I think I gave Rashford at half-time a 6. I think it's got to come down to a 5.5. Simply because, not even because the missed chances with Rashford, I would mark him down, not for the missed chances, just because if you go Rashford, Garnacho, Amad, and you look at how well Garnacho and Amad did, and then Rashford's, well, we know his wage, we know his status, he's 26, 27. Why? What's the excuse? What's the excuse that Garnacho and Amad are playing like that and you're playing like that? He's got to do more. Even if you give him an average 6, he's got to do more. So, yeah, I'd give him a 5.5. I think that's fair. Garnacho was my man of the match because I think the goal was good, 7.5. McTominay, I barely noticed him, give him a 6. Collier, yeah, look, I'm happy to give Collier a 6.5. I think that, he's a young player that comes on, gets involved, and it's going to be hopefully his breakthrough season this season. So, yeah. The better team lost. It's that simple. It doesn't even matter. And it doesn't even matter, Rail, if I'm being honest. So, did we throw away the fact that Rashford looked sharp most of pre-season over one game when he had no left back behind him? I'd rather judge him in the season opener. So, you would start Rashford, Eminem. You would risk starting Rashford in the season opener because he looked quite sharp in the States and looked, absolutely off it today. So you're going to bench Garnacho or Amad to start Rashford. That's no problem with it, but that's what you've got to do. And that to me is favouritism. That's exactly what we're talking about. Like, if you're going to go on form, you have to start Garnacho and Amad. But Eminem says, no, let's give Rashford another chance. It's risky, isn't it? Where was Xerxes? I'm confused why he didn't play. Answers on a postcard. Hopefully we'll know by 8 o'clock because I'm back live at 8 o'clock. Do you think we do any more business? Yes, Bartley, I do. We pass the ball forward much better, says Salim. If Rashford could shoot, we'd win, says Quinstar. And do you think Ten Hag will play Garnacho on the left and Amad on the right? No, I think he will drop Amad and he will play Rashford and Garnacho, which I think is a real shame. And will send a message out that it doesn't matter if you're the best player in pre-season and you work hard, you won't play ahead of reputation. And I think that's a terrible message to send because Amad has come back into pre-season, worked his arse off, and if he doesn't start against Fulham, then it'll all be for nothing, won't it? But yeah, it's I guess we just have to wait and see how it pans out. Okay, right, let's end it there. They're live on the fan forum anyway. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. I'm back at 8 o'clock with you all as well. Kevin, everyone's in the fan forum. Let's see you over there. Take care.